All right, everyone. Joe Biden came out and told the American people months ago when he said, well, I want to massively expand the IRS budget, said, well, don't worry, though. We're only going to be going after the rich tax cheats. That's the only reason that we need these additional agents. By the way, most of them aren't even agents anyway, so don't worry about it too much. The expansion going forward. It's been delayed a bit, and it's been cut down slightly. The GOP neocons managed to acquiesce to that particular thing, but they haven't made any further attempts because people stopped talking about it, unfortunately, and stopped caring. Link in the description, archived, of course. The weaponization has now efficiently begun. Joe Biden deciding to use the IRS to raise from 3% to 8% the interest on unpaid taxes. Now, who gets hit with that penalty? People in a poor economic situation incapable of paying the whole total, or not any, and people who cheat on their taxes. People who get audited and get caught effectively. There are plenty of people that cheat on their taxes and don't get caught. Most of those are the billionaire classers. It's not going to affect the rich. It's not going to affect people whose primary income comes from business and capital gains and property and things like that. It's going to affect people who are making wages and salaries in the normal sense. It's going to affect them. By raising the interest rate to this degree, you will put people in a situation where in some cases, through no fault of their own, because of a poor economic situation for them, like they lost their job or something. So last year they made quite a bit of money. This year they're flipping burgers. But they didn't make enough for long enough to set aside a bunch of savings, and so now they owe $20,000-$30,000 or something, and they don't have it. They have to pay it off over time. It's going to be a real hit to people that are in that situation. And what I've warned of is that differential enforcement with regards to auditing power is really going to be the sticking point. The IRS will simply ignore warning signs of someone who is deemed nice. And if you're on the naughty list, then you get audited if anything looks even remotely mildly suspicious. This is why I overpay on my taxes and have done so habitually. There are plenty of things that I could write off because I'm self-employed that I don't write off. Technically speaking, for example, if I buy a shirt and I wear it on my videos a few times, that qualifies as a deduction because it's directly related to my income. If I buy literature, if I buy anything that has to do with editing, some computer program for working with words, if I subscribe to an AI system and I was using that to generate illustrations or something, all of those technically are write-offs. I assure you that I do not take them, though. It's only the basics. So if I get something explicitly related to my work, like a new webcam, which is effectively only used for my work, that's one thing. But other things, or a microphone or something like that. No, I didn't write off the desk plants or the flag or any of that stuff. I think this is a wise decision. If you are going to do that and pick and pack, you got to keep all of the receipts physically and digitally, and it's just too much of a goddamn hassle. I do that out of an abundance of caution because I know that at any moment, because I'm definitely on the naughty list as far as the current administration is concerned, I could get audited. It's already a shitty process enough, even when you can prove all of the write-offs and stuff, and in the end you prevail. You still have to go through the process of proving that you did so. And remember, you are guilty until proven innocent when you're dealing with the government. The weaponization has already begun. In fact, earlier than I believed before. I figured it'd be a little while until they really decided to change around the way that they're working in the tax system. An 8% interest rate will only harm people in the middle and working class, because the poor, of course, generally aren't paying taxes. They don't make enough to pay into the system, unless you're self-employed. Now, I was very surprised to learn that I actually owed a bunch of taxes the first year that I sort of made any real money at all, even though I was making effectively I was making a burger flipper wage. Well, normally people in that economic echelon don't owe taxes at the end of the year. They get money back from the government. That doesn't happen for the self-employed. So the self-employed, they'll be hit by this because again, they can be on the low end and still be subject to taxes. It'll hurt the working class. It'll hurt the middle class. It might damage some people in the upper middle class, depending on how good they are at saving money and stuff like that. The rich and the super poor generally will be just fine. So it's the broad middle section of the population that suffers when they raise the interest rate. So for example, 8% interest. and you owe $100 in taxes that you couldn't pay. Well, now it's $108 at the end of the year. It's not necessarily going to break the bank for the average person that's so targeted, because mostly we're talking about the government nickel and diming you for a few grand or something. But in some cases it'll be far more, and people will be in a situation where they just literally cannot pay off that interest. They won't even be making enough to make the interest payment. They'll continue perpetually owing the government money. They'll end up in bankruptcy proceedings. This is the weaponization of the IRS. They wouldn't be doing this. There's no need to tinker with the IRS system as far as the interest goes, unless you want to put the screws to people that you manage to successfully audit, or again, people that are already economically hurting, many of which voted for Biden, I'm assuming, because that would be the echelon of people traditionally associated with more liberal politics. It's going to hit hard. By the way, does this involve business taxes as well in some way, or is this just the salary and wage department? I don't see that actually listed in the article. So yeah. Interest payments, I'll read through this one really quickly. Self-employed workers and independent contractors, including many gig workers, will be at risk of being hit with the underpayment penalty if they fail to pay the amount the IRS believes they owe. Taxpayers don't face an interest penalty for underpayment if the balance due is under $1,000. That's the good news. After their credits and other tax account information is factored in. So again, if you owe a nickel to the government, you're fine. This article correctly points out that people who do the write-off shuffle, who have to itemize a bunch of shit, are going to be the ones that are the most pressed. Because the IRS can come in at any time and then force you to show all of the receipts. So hopefully they have them. That's a reason. I mean, if you're self-employed, for example, let's say you work as an electrician, freelance. You worked for a company for a while, but now you've got your own truck. Okay, well, you have to pay for the upkeep on your truck, all sorts of tools and supplies and shit like that, and those are qualified deductions. Those are directly related to your work. The government wants you to itemize every single goddamn nut and bolt. You can't just say, work equipment, write-off for the year, $5,000. You can, but the IRS might audit you. So unless you have every single receipt that adds up to that sum, you got to crunch those numbers yourself. It can be time-consuming, and it can be laborious. And the government, in the end, might arbitrarily drag you through court and say, no, we think you're wrong because we don't think that that particular component that you installed in someone's home is related directly to your contract work. Well, that's not really an electrical supply. Those panels that you had to replace by hand, they're not electrified in any manner. They're just part of the wall. So that's construction work, but you're not a construction worker. The government can do that, and it will. It'll selectively enforce this. Lord help all those content creators that do itemize a bunch of bullshit from their videos, because they're about to get differentially their asses handed to them. That's about all. Peace out.